Für Tina und für mich ist ganz besonders, dieses besondere Musical auf die Bühne zu bringen. Es ist für Tina ein Herzanliegen.
Tina Turner seemed to be living the dream life from the outside looking in. She had a phenomenal career that lasted decades, during which she received 8 Grammys, was married to a wonderful guy in her latter years, and had an army of devoted followers. But Tina Turner was concealing a great deal from the world under her idyllic exterior. Her husband, Irvin Bach, is now speaking up about Tina's troubled years leading up to her death, and you won't believe what he confesses. All this after she passed away about a year ago. Little did you know, Tina Turner's parents, Zelma Priscilla and Floyd Richard Bullock, welcomed their daughter, Anna Mae, into the world on November 26, 1939, in Brownsville, Tennessee, USA. In the same way that many individuals of that time had troubled childhoods due to Richard's violent tendencies, Tina's mother ran away from her violent husband and settled in St. Louis when Tina was 11 years old. After Tina's father remarried, she was left in the care of her grandmother, since she couldn't immediately join her mother. However, she was reunited with her mother and sister Aline shortly after turning 16 and went to St. Louis. Although Tina's father was the sharecropper supervisor at Poindexter Farm on Highway 180 in the remote, unincorporated town of Nutbush, Tennessee, the family had resided there prior to the separation. Tina reflected on her childhood recollections of helping her family harvest cotton. Anyway, when Tina and her 2 sisters were very little, their parents uprooted the family and settled in Knoxville, Tennessee, so that they could work at a defense facility during WW II. This was the first time Tina had ever lived with her very religious and strict paternal grandparents, who were deacons and deaconesses at a Baptist church. Reunited as a family not long after the war ended, they ultimately made their way to Knoxville. Tina went to Flag Grove Elementary School for 8th grade after her family moved back to Nutbush to reside in the Flag Grove neighborhood 2 years ago. Even at an early age, Tina was performing professionally. When she was a little kid, she remembered singing in the chorus at Spring Hill Baptist Church in Nutbush. Additionally, she and her sisters were compelled to reside with their maternal grandmother, Georgiana Curry, in Brownsville, Tennessee in 1950 when they were 11 years old, following her mother's unannounced departure and her father's relocation to Detroit. As expected, Tina expressed her feelings of unloved by her parents due to their treatment of her and her brothers. However, she did get the reasoning for her mother's extreme choice. In her book, she revealed that her mother had intended to leave Richard from the beginning, but became pregnant and stayed behind since she didn't want another kid at the time. Tina received the news that her half-sister Evelyn and her cousins were in a vehicle collision while she was a teenager working as a housekeeper for the Henderson family in Ripley, Tennessee. Even though Evelyn passed away right away, one of the cousins lived to recount the story. A gregarious person Tina had always been. After joining the Brownsville cheerleading and basketball teams at Carver High School, her life took a turn for the worst when her grandmother passed away, forcing her to go home with her mother in St. Louis. She was a nurse's helper at Barnes Jewish Hospital after she graduated from Sumner High School in 1958. It was at Club Manhattan, though, that she met the man who would launch her career and alter the course of her life. Singing was her true calling. After relocating to St. Louis, Missouri, music aficionado, Tina dove headfirst into the city's rhythm and blues scene. At a 1956 concert by Ike Turner's band, the Kings of Rhythm, she met him. Her singing voice and talents impressed him so much that he invited her to become the first female member of his band. Tina was touched and thrilled to finally be able to do what she loved, so she jumped right in and became a part of the performance. Not long after changing her name to Tina Turner, Ike swiftly became the showstopper because to her electrifying stage persona. Tina was so enamored with her new love that she failed to question whether her feelings for Ike were superficial, and that she may never have known him for who he really was. In 1960, the Ike and Tina Turner Revue got its start when Ike rechristened his band and Anna Mae Tina Turner. This prompted the group to continue touring under this moniker, Their live performances brought them fame, but they failed miserably when it came to making records. A Fool in Love altered everything for them in 1960, which ended up being their breakthrough year. Following the song's success on the charts, the duet and band were in high demand due to the subsequent succession of successful singles. You are well aware that Ike and Tina were married in 1962 in Tijuana, Mexico, after reports of their affair started circulating shortly after. Nevertheless, they would subsequently divorce after 2 years of marriage, with Ike asserting that they were never formally married. Anyway, the band's rising star power started drawing more admirers, and by the 1960s, they were appearing in concert promos left and right. Along with his now iconic Wall of Sound, Phil Spector used Tina's voice in 1966. Thankfully, the song was a smash in Europe, catapulting her to stardom on a global scale, but it bombed in America. Ike and Tina were also requested to open for the Rolling Stones on their tour of the UK around this time by the Stones. They accepted the agreement without hesitation, which increased their fame on a global scale. Unfortunately, not everything that shines is gold, and the couple's relationship wasn't what it looked. After Ike found out she could earn more money for him, Tina Turner said in her 2018 book, Tina Turner, My Love Story, she knew their relationship wouldn't work. She realized their relationship was doomed, as she put it. He needed to control her, economically and psychologically, so she could never leave him. And she bought into his manipulations without question. Tina went on to say that things weren't all roses in their relationship, mentioning that Michael took her to a right after their 1962 wedding. There was no way out of Tina's misery. She was on the edge of tears the entire time. Some of the horrific physical traumas she endured at his hands are detailed in the book as well. According to her account, he once scalded her to third degree by hurling a cup of coffee at her face. She could practically taste blood dripping down her neck every time she sang because he used her nose as a punching bag so frequently. After he fractured her jaw, she hardly recalled a time when she hadn't been hit in the face. There was never a point when the abuse seemed to moderate during that horrible time for her. The situation, on the contrary, only became worse. Another incident that Tina remembers is the night he assaulted her with a wooden shoe stretcher. Since Ike never resorted to physical force during a confrontation, she said he was always well prepared. In order to avoid injuring their fingers, musicians are aware not to do what he did when playing guitar. But instead, he frequently would hit her on the head. That's right, the head, using the shoe stretcher. After he hit her and then told her to go on the bed, she started to hate him, and her tears started rolling down her cheeks. Plus, upon learning she was expecting a child, she felt trapped and that she had truly gotten herself into trouble. This carried on for some time, and after Tina endured years of abuse, she decided to take matters into her own hands with the use of 50 Valium tablets. Tina made the decision to go in 1968 because she had had enough. Recalling an attempt at self-harm, she went to see a doctor about her insomnia, and the doctor gave her medicine, which she intended to take in an overdose. The fact that Ike was openly having an affair with 3 different women in the span of one night just made things worse. In her memoir, My Love Story, Tina recounted the horrific event that occurred during her tumultuous 16-year marriage to the violent cocaine addict. She described how, on an ordinary day in 1968, she hit rock bottom, stating, "For starters, there were 3 women at the house at the time, and Ike was sleeping with all of them. 3 of us were named Ann, which meant he had to remember one name. One of the Anns, Ann Thomas, was pregnant with his child. Another insult to me." Everything was dwindling, according to her. Her status, confidence, and her world were all diminishing. So one night, just before a gig, she couldn't take it anymore and swallowed 50 sleeping pills. On that fateful night, just before taking the stage, she swallowed 50 pills. In her second memoir, she continued, "That night, when I took those pills, I chose death, and I chose it honestly." Tina was rushed to the hospital to have her stomach pumped. The next day, Ike visited her, cruelly saying, "You should die," before pressing her to go back to work. Looking back on the suicide attempt, Tina recognized it as a pivotal moment because she knew it hadn't been a classic cry for help. She had chosen death. In her second memoir, she added that she was unhappy when she woke up, but she never tried killing herself again because she came out of the darkness believing she was meant to survive and that she was here for a purpose. However, she courageously decided to file for divorce in 1976 after 2 years of enduring the abuse. Her only request was the right to continue using her stage name, Tina Turner. In an interview with People taken about 10 years after the divorce, Ike admitted to being abusive. He claimed that their fights usually revolved around her sadness or his own emotional outbursts when someone was worried about something without being told what it was. He said, "I can't think about nothing else, so I'd slap her or something like that." The audio clip was included in the 2021 HBO documentary Tina. The documentary featured archival footage and recent conversations with the iconic singer, shedding light on her tumultuous past. Tina candidly admitted, "Maybe I was brainwashed." While reflecting on her relationship with Ike, he admitted guilt 9 years after Tina initially revealed her harrowing experiences in a December 1981 tell-all with People magazine. He passed away in 2007 at the age of 76. His presence made me nervous, and I worried about his well-being. As for the singing, I was aware that it would end if I departed. Filmmakers Dan Lindsay and TJ Martin chose to utilize mostly archival footage to examine Tina and Ike's relationship, honoring Tina's desire to avoid reliving the trauma. As she explained in the documentary her reason for speaking out in 1981, which was to dispel the myth of their relationship as a positive partnership and to help people understand the truth behind the public image of Ike and Tina. "I had an abusive life," Tina said. "Forgiving means not to hold on, you let it go." She continued by acknowledging the reality of her abusive past and her reluctance to revisit her trauma, but she ultimately decided to open up about it for her Broadway musical. In it, she recognized she was the only one left to tell her story. "This is the only way the narrative can be told. Yes, it is true. It's true." Tina's story of forgiveness and recovery continues to move people because of her strength and determination. In 1969, Tina went on to earn her first solo Grammy nomination for Best R&B Vocal Performance with the Revue's track The Hunter. 2 years later, in 1971, Tina and Ike recorded Proud Mary, winning a Grammy for Best R&B Performance. By 1973, Tina wrote her first original song, Nutbush City Limits, marking the end of her hits with the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. Over the years, Tina continued to make waves in music and film, from recording hits like Let's Stay Together in 1983 to starring in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome in 1985. She achieved numerous accolades, including Grammy Awards and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In 2018, her life story was adapted into the critically acclaimed musical Tina, the Tina Turner musical, solidifying her legacy as one of the greatest performers. Following numerous guest appearances on other artists' albums, Tina launched her solo career with the release of her debut album, Private Dancer, in 1984. The album was a resounding success, both critically and commercially, selling over 20 million copies worldwide and earning 3 Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year and Best Female Vocal Performance for her iconic hit, What's Love Got to Do With It? This single became synonymous with her musical legacy. She expanded her artistic repertoire with a memorable role in the film Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, 1985. Tina continued to captivate audiences with subsequent albums such as Break Every Rule, 1986, Foreign Affair, 1989, and Wildest Dreams, 1996. In 2004, she released her greatest hit compilation, All the Best. Tina's influence extended into the 21st century through her ongoing touring and collaborations with other artists, notably her contribution to Herbie Hancock's Grammy-winning tribute album to Joni Mitchell, River the Joni Letters, in 2007. After residing in Switzerland for an extended period, Tina obtained Swiss citizenship in 2013, and subsequently initiated the process of renouncing her U.S. citizenship. She wrote autobiographies including I, Tina, a 1986 book co-written with Kurt Loder and later adapted into the film What's Love Got to Do With It in 1993 and My Love Story in 2018, along with the self-help book Happiness Becomes You, a guide to changing your life for good in 2020. Co-authored with Taro Gold and Regula Curti, Tina was on track to getting her life back on track. Ike and Tina were honored with induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991. Her contributions were further recognized with a Kennedy Center honor in 2005 and a Grammy Award for Lifetime Achievement in 2018. That same year, Tina, a jukebox musical depicting her life and directed by Phyllida Lloyd, premiered in London's West End before making its Broadway debut in 2019. 2 years later, Tina was the subject of the documentary Tina, and in 2021 she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist. After Tina Turner left Ike, everything appeared to be going swimmingly for her. She had only ever known the music industry via him, so the process seemed overwhelming and difficult at first. However, she was prepared to stand on her own 2 feet and take charge of her life. In 1986, Tina met music producer Erwin Bach, 10 years after she split up with Ike. They began out as friends, but soon discovered their love was more than that. They dated for an astonishing 27 years before finally tying the married in 2013, despite the 16-year age gap. Because of her history with Ike, Tina found it challenging to be married again. Worries that Erwin might be more abusive or that she was too broken to love him the way he needed were persistent worries that haunted her. However, she began to relax around him as a result of his kindness and patience. According to an interview she gave in 2020, she credited Erwin with teaching her to love without giving up who she was. Erwin recalled seeing Tina for the first time in 1986 at the Dusseldorf airport when he was given the duty of welcome her, as told in the 2021 HBO documentary. He said he had a good time picking up Tina at Roger's request. Roger is her manager. Driving the famous vocalist made him apprehensive, but he remained calm because he was only doing his job. He possessed a different kind of handsomeness, those great eyes. Tina, who was 46 years old when they first met, recalled with fondness how, upon getting into the car with Erwin, her heart was already racing, her palms were sweaty, and she thought, "Oh my God." In an interview with Oprah Winfrey on Oprah's Next Chapter in 2013, she spoke about their initial encounter. "When I laid eyes on you, I fell in love." They started out as friends, but their relationship blossomed into romance when Erwin came to Los Angeles. He took the initiative and asked her out to dinner one night while they were out with friends. Later that year, Tina's manager, Roger Davis, paid Erwin a visit in Los Angeles. While there, they had dinner again, and when Tina's music manager, John Briley, asked why she hadn't brought a date, she answered honestly, "John, I'm Tina Turner." His origin is from Germany. "It seems like no one ever wants to go on a date with me." Quickly seizing the opportunity, Erwin said, "Well, I'll ask you out." Briley related that the couple skipped dinner and went straight to a nightclub afterward. The next day, Tina surprised Erwin with a shiny new black Mercedes G-Wagon. Despite their obvious love for each other, Erwin had to pop the question twice before she finally said yes. The first time was after 4 years of dating, on Turner's 50th birthday. Erwin said in an interview with Oprah that he thought a woman should have a commitment from her partner by that age. When Tina thought back on her own proposals, she realized that she didn't believe he was serious, but she also didn't want to end the relationship, which was fueled by her fears from her previous relationship with Ike, who she later revealed had been physically abusive during their 1962-1976 marriage. Fortunately, in 2013, Tina conquered her fears, and she and Erwin exchanged vows at their Swiss chateau with loved ones by her side. The couple, who had met almost 30 years earlier, tied the knot in a civil ceremony at the Chateau Algonquin, their picturesque home on the shores of Lake Zurich in Küsnacht, Switzerland. The wedding celebration drew 120 guests, including famous faces like Oprah Winfrey, Bryan Adams, Saad, and David Bowie. According to an article in Entertainment Tonight, Tina walked down the aisle to Adams's All for Love. The wedding was held the same year that she formally renounced her U.S. citizenship, establishing her intention to live permanently in Switzerland and never return to the U.S., as stated in a U.S. Embassy report. However, Tina's health was deteriorating as she battled international cancer and kidney failure, among other health issues. 4 years later, Irwin showed an extraordinary act of love and devotion by donating one of his kidneys to her during this difficult time in her health. In her 2018 memoir, My Love Story, Tina detailed a string of health complications she experienced soon after their marriage, including a stroke 3 months later. Her pre-existing conditions, including high blood pressure that was diagnosed in 1978, escalated to severe kidney problems. Tina recounted how she was profoundly moved by Irwin's unexpected offer to donate a kidney to her in 2016. "He said he didn't want another woman or another life," she wrote in her memoir. "Then he shocked me. He mentioned that he was considering donating a kidney to me. After much deliberation with her husband, she finally consented to the transplant the following year." In a March blog post for Show Your Kidneys Love, Tina revealed that her body had a hard time adjusting to the new kidney, which meant she had to stay in the hospital multiple times. She also admitted that the medical issues were still going on at the time. Fortunately, Tina was helped back to health by her loving husband Irwin. In her 2020 book, Happiness Becomes You, a guide to changing your life for good, she expressed her gratitude for his unflinching support and understanding, where she lauded him for completely embracing her and letting her shine without reservation. Tina drew attention to the joy she had in her connection with Irwin as a contrast to her previous experiences, highlighting their shared goal of illuminating the lives of others. She admitted that her past marriage had been difficult, but she was grateful for the path that had brought her to this point of complete happiness with Irwin. They would have to say goodbye to one another suddenly in 2023. Tina was undeniably the legendary rock and roll queen when she passed away. She was 83 years old when she gently died away at her home in Küsnacht, Switzerland, following a lengthy battle with sickness. Many others were inspired by her music, and the world lost a legend with her passing. With an electric stage presence and a catalog of timeless tunes, Tina became one of rock's most prominent vocalists. Not long after the news of her death broke, fellow celebrities including Giorgio Armani, Diana Ross, Bette Midler, Sir Mick Jagger, and Sir Elton John sent their respects. "Truly an enormously talented performer and singer," Sir Mick Jagger said of Tina, whose positive influence on his career came from her kind attitude and inspiring personality. Overcoming obstacles like colon cancer and a crippling stroke, Tina's journey was undeniably characterized by tenacity and determination. She said in 2018 that her spouse had donated a kidney to her in an act of selflessness that had saved her life and kept her from thinking about assisted suicide. Roger Davies, who managed Tina for 30 years, spoke highly of her, calling her a unique and remarkable force of nature, praising her tremendous power, limitless vitality, and outstanding talent. Additionally, the 1993 film starring Angela Bassett exposed her horrific experiences of domestic violence at the hands of her former husband, Ike Turner. The film earned 3 Oscars and critical praise. With the release of her rendition of Let's Stay Together by Al Green in 1983 and the innovative album Private Dancer in 1984, Tina's career saw an incredible comeback, bringing her back into the limelight after a decline in the late 1970s. With record sales of over 10 million copies, she was officially a superstar all over the world. Offstage, Turner and her husband Irwin, a former executive at EMI who was there for her through thick and thin, lived a quiet existence on their expansive home on Lake Zurich. Her personal misfortunes were the 2018 death of her eldest son, Craig Raymond Turner, and the 2022 death of her second son, Ronnie, from cancer, notwithstanding her achievements. The love she had for her children would last a lifetime, and she took comfort in remembering her boys and drawing courage from their stories. Tina's incredible story of overcoming hardship and becoming a rock and roll legend will live on in indelible memory as an inspiration to everyone. Even though everyone is sad about her passing, her music will be an inspiration to many years to come. Therefore, her legacy will last forever. After hearing the news of Tina's gentle demise, many in the entertainment world and beyond pondered her immense legacy and the profound influence she made. Debbie Allen, an actress, dancer, and choreographer, also praised Tina. Her hit song Proud Mary was an anthem for young black women, and she praised her as a revolutionary figure who rejected musical norms. Singer and actress Cheryl Lee Ralph characterized Tina as an icon, a queen, a dynamic, electrifying performer, emphasizing her deep affection for Tina's music, particularly her hits like What's Love Got to Do With It? Upon hearing of Tina's passing, Ruth Pointer, the only remaining original Pointer sister, expressed profound sadness. Pointer described Tina as a musical queen and a source of inspiration for herself. Ruth reflected on her life and profession with fondness after witnessing Tina perform, mentioning how it had a profound influence. Bryan Adams, a singer-turned-photographer, spoke glowingly of his time spent working with the celebrity, praising her generosity and kindness and recognizing her impact on his career. Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, the former President and First Lady of the United States, paid homage to Tina's unfaltering sincerity and tenacity, hailing her as an unstoppable force who sung and spoke her truth without fear. The Obamas highlighted her lasting impact as the Queen of Rock and Roll, whose star power would be remembered by admirers throughout the world. A sincere homage to Tina's influence on Oprah's life and the connection they shared was written by Oprah, a lifelong admirer and friend of Tina's. Oprah praised Diana, calling her a forever goddess of rock and roll and praising her steadfast spirit, which served as an inspiration to millions globally. President Joe Biden also paid tribute to her remarkable legacy and talent, calling her a once-in-a-generation talent whose impact on American music was unequaled. He praised her rise to fame from her roots as the daughter of a Tennessee farmer to her status as an international icon, drawing attention to the impact she has had on followers throughout the years. In the critically praised movie, What's Love Got to Do With It?, Tina's portrayal by Angela Bassett paid tribute to her groundbreaking work and the lasting legacy she left behind. Tina was lauded by Angela for her bravery in telling her tale of overcoming hardship, and she will be an inspiration to future generations. Tina left an indelible mark on the music industry and beyond because she exemplified extraordinary tenacity, passion, and strength throughout her life and career. Her music will be loved and cherished by many for years to come, and even as they grieve her passing, her legacy will live on. Thankfully, Tina didn't pass away before she learned what love is all about. In the space below, please share your thoughts about her lasting impact. If you like this video and would want to see more like it, subscribe to the channel